All right. Hello, everyone. Shannon and Karen here from Certified RN. Today, we are going to discuss number 6 on our questions. I'm going to read the question to you, and ideally what we would like to do is for you to pause the video, answer it yourself, and then resume the video so you can hear the discussion that Karen and I have. All right. So number 6, patient is admitted with a non-STEMI and a heparin drip is ordered. The goal of the heparin is to... So, Karen.
Okay.
What's the goal of this heparin?
Well, good. Well, they've given us 4 choices here. So maybe we'll just kind of go down each one and see which one we think works best. So this is kind of a physiology. Do you know your physiology and how different medications affect the clotting system? So let's look at it. So number 1, let's look at the answers here and see if we can determine which is our best choice. Okay, so the first one is A, and it says to prevent platelet aggregation. Well, that's not one of the things that heparin does. Platelet aggregation, when we think of that, was like something that stops the platelet from getting those claws out. Okay. And so the meds that we use for that are going to be like aspirin and clopidogrel. So those are going to be your major ones to stop the platelets from activating. So that is not the answer. What about prevent the formation of a fibrin clot? That is exactly what heparin does for us. That is why we're giving it. So in an NSTEMI, so there's no ST segment elevation, we have these little teeny pieces of plaque that are kind of going to different areas of the myocardium and causing tiny little damage to the myocardium.
Okay.
And what we want to do is we want to stop any of that clot from happening, the clot and the plaque together. And so if we could stop that clot, then we're going to have less tissue damage. So that is your answer. But let's just go on and just look at the other ones. Promote the conversion of plasminogen to plasmin. What's wrong with that one? And boy, that's one of those ones where I must not know. I better pick that one, right? But no, that one is actually what we use to dissolve a fibrin clot. So that's part of, like, if you were to give TPA. Okay, that's kind of what TPA does. And we don't use TPA in NSTEMIs. We might use them in a STEMI if there's no cath lab available to dissolve that fibrin clot, but we do not use them in NSTEMIs. So that would not be your answer. And then the final one is to prevent vasospasm. And so we know, and most of us know, that heparin doesn't prevent vasospasm. So that one would probably be pretty easy to eliminate.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned STEMI and non-STEMI. I know this is a little slightly off, but the question, but in a nutshell, like if I were just to think real quick, what's the difference between non-STEMI and STEMI? What would you give us? Okay,
so in a STEMI MI, it's ST segment elevation myocardial infarction is what that stands for. So you're going to see those ST segments elevated in certain leads of the heart. What's occurring is you have occlusion of an artery or a major branch of an artery. And so that's your NSTEMI. So they got to go to the cath lab because you've got to stop that occlusion. And that's why we either go to the cath lab and put a stent in, get past that occlusion, or they get thrombolytics to dissolve the clot. So that's your STEMI MI. Now your NSTEMI is a little different. Your EKG changes are a little more difficult to look at for. They don't really show, they usually show something like non-specific ST and T wave changes, or maybe some T wave inversion, but there's nothing dramatic, no ST segment elevation, okay? And cardiac markers will go up. So there is tissue damage. Whenever markers go up, there's tissue damage. Okay. But there isn't just one big clot we need to lyse or get past, like with a stent. What's happening is we need to stop any future clots from occurring. So that's why heparin is such an important part of the treatment of your NSTEMI.
Okay, so because basically we don't want the NSTEMI to end up as a STEMI at some point.
Absolutely, and a lot of them do convert from NSTEMIs STEMI, and absolutely we want to keep that from happening.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks so much, Karen, and thanks everyone for watching. Stay tuned for our next question.
Bye.